So tell me your favorite tattoo story.
My favorite tattoo story. Now, what would that favorite tattoo story be? You got me stumped.
Well, you always do good when you walk up to me, and you always have to tell you my favorite story.
But I'm shy otherwise, you know. I'm a good one-to-one, toe-to-toe guy.
Well, tell me something that happened back when you first got into the business, and that was new or different or exciting or challenging or funny or any of those adjectives.
God, I should have had time to think about that, because well, I know that tattooing has given me a life of pleasure.
Yeah.
You know, and it was great because I got to, you know, I just didn't put tattoos on alone. I built tattoo equipment. I was allowed the privilege. I got into an unexplored, unexploited field. I mean, it was, you know, the press overlooked it completely. Tattooing, they never, unless it was mentioning it, like that moss grew on the north side of the tree if somebody, the convict or something, had a tattoo. And then look at it today.
Yeah.
You know, so I sort of feel privileged that I had sort of a chance to help with that.
Well, how did you, I mean, you were on What's My Line and on the cover of Rolling Stone and God knows, is that because you're a good marketer, or was it so unusual that they nabbed you?
It was like a stairway to heaven. One thing led to another, honestly. You know, it was, well, What's My Line? I don't know, Goodson and Todman, that company, they called me up one day on the phone, and it was the first time I was ever to New York. And so I went back there. I was home for about a week, and they called me back again to go back and do What's My Line.
Yeah.
So those two led, and that was in the, well, that was early on, you know.
What's My Line? The premise was 3 people came up.
3 people.
And you said, my name is Lyle Tuttle, I'm a tattoo artist or something.
Yeah.
And so did the other 2 guys.
The other 2 guys, and then they ask you questions.
And they ask you questions to find out who, and they didn't choose you, if I recall. Were you the guy that...
No, I forget now.
I think you told me once that 3 of them voted for somebody else and 1 voted for you. Kitty Kilgallen or Dorothy Kilgallen or something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then there was... that I did To Tell the Truth twice.
Yeah.
And one of them was with, oh God, I don't know, he was a running back with a black guy that ran not a running
Gale
back,
Sayers or
receiver.
Yeah.
Swan was his name.
Yeah.
He was a panel moderator, and the girl that played in Mama's House.
Yeah.
She was. So she asked me what my favorite tattoo was, and I told her the conglomerate. And after the show, she came up to me. She said, "What the hell's a conglomerate?" You know. But that was a show where you came out and you gave 2 different stories, and then they interrogated you, and then they had somebody from the audience pick you out.
Yeah.
And they missed there.
Yeah.
So they got $500, or if they missed, I got the $500.
Right.
Plus the fee for going on the show.
Right,
It was good. That was the reason I was given evasive answers.
Right, right.
So then that was, one night I was tattooing a girl, and I was putting a ring on her finger, and she said, was talking about my tattoo shop, I should loosen it up. But I used to have, well, I was always after image, and that was like, so it looked like a hospital. One of my kids one time said it looked like a laundromat without any machines in it. I like painted 2-tone chrome green and chrome and all, you know, all that stuff. And I said, well, what should I make it look like? She said, a Victorian horror house. So I started thinking about that, but she wanted to be a writer for Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
And she said, there's a story here. And so she went ahead and did a story. That's how I wound up in Rolling Stone magazine.
Right.
And then that, of course, you know, what kind of doors that opens.
Yeah, sure.
And then she had a roommate by the name of Karen Thornton, who was a writer for Life magazine.
Yeah.
And they had been roommates in college. So guess where the next place I wound up with, Life magazine.
Well, was that around the time you tattooed Janis Joplin and all that?
That was in that era, that same era. It was, well, Janis was in 1970.
Yeah.
And Rolling Stone was 71, I think. Life magazine was 72.
Yeah.
Janice got hip to me through the San Jose Mercury, their Sunday color supplement.
Yeah.
And how I didn't ask her how she ran across me, but over at her house on a bulletin board in the kitchen was that article was hung up.
Right.
So I'm sure that's where she wound up getting it.
And how do you, is there still that same kind of excitement for you now today?
You know, no, it isn't. But then I'm 78 years old. And I've been connected with it since 1946. At 14, I got my first tattoo. I started tattooing professionally. And it's changed so much. I mean, it used to be unique.
Yeah.
Now, you can even use sorted words on this program.
Yeah, whatever.
Nowadays, every asshole in the world's got one, it seems like. In fact, if you read Revolver magazine this month's out, it's a heavy metal magazine. It's about a girl, and she's a cute little girl. She said, "I'd do anything for you to tattoo me. If you just come out of retirement and do one on me, I would do anything.
Yeah.
I'd even give you some sexual favors."
Yeah.
And I said, "No, don't." I says, "I wouldn't recommend getting one. Why don't you stay unique?"
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then I said that I didn't think that it would have words would have ever come out of my mouth.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah. So it's just changed, you know. And then that's old farts are always talking about the old days in a way, because it used to be you'd say, they'd find out you're a tattoo artist. They'd say, "You what?" I mean, you know, it was something. You know, you were the closest thing to a witch doctor they were ever going to get. But nowadays, in 1960, New York City was outlawed, the state of Florida, state of Indiana. I mean, I was sitting out in Frisco, and it could have been a domino effect and taken the whole United States out.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons that the old timers didn't like publicity. They wanted to hide up some dark, dirty street
Sure.
till the big bad guy that puts you out of business, like the lawmakers, couldn't find them.
Yeah.
And that was not my philosophy. If they're going to put me out of business, they're going to know who they put out of business. That's the way I felt about it.
Well, now I've gotten reactions where people say to me, "You're not a tattoo artist?" You know. So,
yeah. Have you ever put one on?
Have I?
Yeah.
I almost killed the guy, yeah.
Well, you almost killed the guy.
I think it was Lucky Diamond Rich, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't take my pedal off and put the machine on the table, and it skated across the table, and I said, that's probably the end of my career.
Okay. Well, you know, there's some tattoo artists who don't work with foot switches.
Yeah.
You know, it wastes too much time.
Yeah.
That's like Rosanna in Amsterdam, she doesn't work with one.
Yeah.
And what she does in her show is she picks up and puts her foot switch out on the table leg.
Yeah. Oh.
You know? But she said, "Oh, it wastes too much time." You know, then you want to be talking to somebody with your machine turned off, you're not working. And if it's running, you're working.
Well, if you're running, you dip it into the ink, doesn't it throw the ink all over the place?
Terry Wigley, I got a picture of him standing out in front of his shop, and he wore one of these, I'm going to say a butcher's deal, buttoned up at pockets here. He was just always splattered with ink, you know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I mean, after being involved in something for 6 years, I've seen it through good times and bad times. And it's alive and well, and you can't argue that point at all. It is alive and well. How could I be anything but happy?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I love tattooing. I love my tattoos. I love the history of tattooing and the whole ball of wax. So it might be a finger down the throat to me personally, because it's a little bit, you know, and I'm sure there's as many characters today as there was back when I was a young guy, old tattoo artist, but you can't see the forest for the trees. So,
thank you, Lyle.
You're welcome.